On December 18, 1977, Hurriyet, one of Turkey's largest national newspapers, published an unusual story. It was not about politics, war, or crime. It was about a shepherd from central Anatolia. His name was Behçet Öcal. The article claimed that for nearly 29 years, this uneducated shepherd had been in contact with non-human beings. He stated that he had been guided to draw a map of the universe, despite having no formal education and no prior knowledge of astronomy. The story would later be recorded as one of Turkey's earliest close encounter and abduction cases. After the newspaper publication, Behçet Öcal largely disappeared from public attention. Aside from a spiritualism meeting held in Ankara in 1982 and an interview published by Nokta magazine in 1990, no other documented records about him exist. Based on these limited accounts, the event unfolded as follows. According to Behçet Öcal, the first encounter took place in 1948. It was a quiet afternoon, around 2 o'clock. He was alone in a pasture near Eski Gumish, herding sheep across the open land of central Anatolia. He later described the day as unusually bright. Then, without warning, a light appeared in the sky. It was so intense that it briefly blocked the sunlight. Within seconds, the light descended toward the ground, stopping near a pile of rocks. He compared its movement to that of a projectile. Fast, direct, and controlled. Moments later, 3 figures appear at the landing site. 2 male, 1 female, similar in height and form. In the newspaper, alongside the map of the universe, illustrations of the beings Behçet Öcal claimed to have encountered were also published. According to details later shared in his interviews, he described devices worn on their chests, connected by chains and roughly the size of a pocket mirror, extending down to their belts. These mechanisms appeared thin, metallic, and constantly in motion, resembling the keys of a typewriter. Another device was positioned between the chest and the ears. The male figures were described as having very short, closely shaved hair. The female figure, in contrast, was said to have long hair reaching the ground. Because the encounter took place shortly after World War II, Öcal initially believed the beings might have been American or Soviet. He stated that the beings did not speak out loud. According to him, the communication happened mentally, instant and direct. He said they conveyed that they came from the deepest parts of space, that he should listen carefully, and that they had information to give him. At that time, Öcal later explained, he did not even know what the word space meant. He described how fear quickly faded and was replaced by an intense sense of calm. He said he could not tell how long the encounter lasted. The beings, he recalled, observed the sheep and the land in silence. He felt as if he could have remained there for days, overwhelmed by a deep feeling of peace. After a short while, the figures vanished as suddenly as they had appeared. No physical trace was left behind, and there is no clear record describing how they departed. Before moving on to the continued contacts that followed this first encounter, it is necessary to look at where this event took place, because the geography itself is unusual, historic, and deeply connected to the story. The place where Behçet Öcal lived was not an empty pasture on a map. The village once known as Eski Gumish sat quietly outside Nida, surrounded by open fields and volcanic rock. For generations, people lived close to the ground here, and often inside it. Just beyond the village, the rock begins to open. Not naturally, but deliberately. Rooms appear where stone should be solid. Corridors connect spaces never meant to be seen from the outside. The Gumishler Monastery is not built on the land. It is built into it. Carved by hand centuries ago, it hides courtyards, churches, burial chambers, and passages inside the rock itself. Its walls once carried images of saints, archangels, and figures said to stand between worlds. One fresco shows the Virgin Mary smiling, an expression so rare that it still feels out of place today. Beneath the wider region of Cappadocia, a place many recognize from tourism films with fairy chimneys, wide valleys, and hot air balloons drifting silently at sunrise, there's another Cappadocia, one that does not appear in postcards. Entire cities were carved underground, not shallow shelters, but deep, intentional spaces designed to disappear. One of them is Derinkuyu, a subterranean city descending nearly 85 meters into the earth. Layer after layer, rooms, corridors, and passages cut into the rock, stretching downward away from light and away from the sky. Only a fraction of it is visible today. The rest remains hidden. When Behçet Öcal described a craft descending silently near a pile of rocks, when he spoke of figures appearing without sound, it happened in a landscape where silence had long been trusted, where protection came from concealment. where entrances were meant to be missed. Between the late 1970s and early 1980s, what began as a single account slowly became part of a wider regional conversation. Sightings were reported across Nida, Aksaray, and the greater Cappadocia region. Lights in the sky, objects moving without sound, sudden appearances followed by abrupt disappearances. During the 1981 to 1982 period, the subject appeared on Turkish national television, discussed as unexplained aerial phenomena rather than isolated stories. Footage from that era shows presenters, witnesses, and local reports describing similar observations, often from different towns but within the same geographic corridor. Farmers working in open fields, residents watching the night sky, people with no connection to one another, reporting comparable experiences. No single narrative emerged. No conclusion was reached. But across central Anatolia, especially around Nida and Aksaray, the pattern repeated often enough to be remembered. According to accounts later shared in Nokta magazine, Behçet Öcal kept what he knew to himself for a long time after the first encounter. He said this silence was intentional. In a small Anatolian town, stories like this did not invite understanding. They invited judgment. Sometime later, a new imam was assigned to the local mosque, and Öcal decided to speak. He described what he had experienced. The imam listened, then responded that they must have come from beyond this world, from space, and that he believed it. Öcal then asked the question that would stay with him. He asked what space actually was. The imam froze. After a moment, the imam told him that he wished he had never spoken of this. Days later, as he was returning home, he saw them again. 3 figures were standing at the doorway. One of them stepped forward. The figure in the center raised his hand. The palm was hollow, shaped like the inside of a cup. At that moment, he felt a sudden force. His body lifted. Then darkness. Villagers later found him on the ground. His skin was peeling. His body showed signs of burning. Doctors said it was an electrical shock. He was hospitalized for 3 days. After that, there was silence again. Time passed. He married. One night, a vibration moved through his body and woke him. Above the window, the same light appeared again. This time, there was no face-to-face meeting. What followed came as projections, like a silent cinema, always at night, never during the day. Often, there was no electricity. His wife stood beside him, holding a lamp. He said he was instructed to prepare what was needed, a pen and paper. The images appeared on their own. He drew what he saw, line by line, shape by shape. The process continued over 2 years. After completing the map, Öcal said that additional images appeared, showing further shapes and technical-looking designs. He never provided a clear explanation of what these machine-like drawings represented. When asked if the beings ever appeared again, his answer was simple: no. According to later accounts, Öcal claimed that the contact continued through what he described as non-physical journeys, experiences he referred to as astral travel. He spoke briefly of being shown other worlds, unfamiliar environments, and cities unlike anything on Earth. But he also admitted uncertainty. Whether he went there, or whether those places appeared to him, he said he could not say. At a spiritualist meeting in Ankara in 1982, he mentioned that he had been working on a book for several years, a project that was never completed. Today, the whereabouts of the universe map and the original drawings remain unknown. What survives are only fragments, newspaper articles, a magazine interview, and recorded statements from a handful of public appearances. Across these accounts, one pattern stands out. With each retelling, the story grows broader, expanding in detail, scope, and meaning. Whether these additions came from Behçet Öcal's own experiences, or from ideas he encountered after entering different social and spiritual circles, is something we may never know. And that uncertainty is where the story ultimately rests. If you've watched the video this far, you may be asking yourself the same question many others have asked. Why him? Why would non-human beings choose an uneducated shepherd to draw such a map, instead of a physicist, an astronomer, or a professor? It's a question that naturally arises for anyone who hears this story. And the truth is, we will probably never know the answer. However, during the conference held in Ankara, when Behçet Öcal was asked, "Why you?" his response was striking. He said that similar experiences had occurred within his family line before, but were never spoken about, never recorded, and never made public. This raises another question. Could these encounters be limited to certain people, certain bloodlines, certain inherited traits? Or is there another explanation entirely? What do you think? I'm curious to read your thoughts in the comments. If you want to follow more mysterious stories like Behçet Öcal's alleged abduction, all based on real sources, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. We'll continue uncovering the unknown in the next video.